I woke up literal minutes ago and I'm already sitting here filming a video. I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't put makeup on. I haven't even put my contacts on. And this is not going to be as well edited as I try to make my videos most of the time, because this is a very important topic I need to discuss right now. And I don't want to worry about things like that, the traffic and the rain sound. I want to get my raw, unfiltered thoughts out. This will be the first time on my channel that I just dive into making a video without thinking a lot about it first. And the reason for that is because I've had to think about this pretty much my entire life, or at least my entire adult life. Basically, my worst nightmare and a lot of people's worst nightmare just came true in Texas. For anyone who's not up to date on the news, Texas did just overturn Roe v. Wade. And it did it in pretty much the worst way you possibly can. They made it so not only can you not get an abortion after 6 weeks, but there's also a cash bounty for anyone who assists you in it. And potentially, I believe, for people who have gotten it. Now I say potentially because unfortunately for us, Texas isn't exactly being forthcoming about what they've done. They're so proud of the fact that they are basically declaring ownership over the women in their state. They're so proud of the fact that in their minds they're saving the innocent babies, even though they're actually screwing a lot more of them over now, as well as screwing the women who are pregnant over. But as proud as they claim they are for what they're doing, they're not being forthright. It's next to impossible right now to find real information on what was passed. You can find article after article about the fact that they did overturn Roe v. Wade. You can find the after 6 weeks part, and you can find the part about the cash bounty. Anything beyond that, you can't find it. They are deliberately hiding the information. You don't hide unless you have something to hide. What else have they put in this law that is so heinous that even Texas can't admit to it? What have you done? Now, I know some people are already gonna be lining up in my comments section to be like, oh, I can't believe it, like, I feel like this would be a good thing. Why are you so upset about it? Let me kind of break down why I'm so upset about this and why a lot of people are so upset about this. So going back to the most basic point of it, let's talk about the 6 weeks thing. Pretty much nobody who gets pregnant knows they're pregnant at 6 weeks. You're not showing yet. You're not feeling that many symptoms yet in comparison to what's coming later. They're basically making it so by the time you find out that you're pregnant, there's nothing you can do already. There's absolutely nothing you can do. It's out of your hands now. You just have to have the baby no matter what. And a lot of people then are going to say, well, isn't that a good thing, because then they can't use it as birth control. If you really look into it, if you talk to people from Planned Parenthood, or you look into the actual statistics, very few areas even legally allow you to use abortion as birth control. It's not really something that happens. You may have heard all these like old wives' tales of the Victorian era and how, sex workers wouldn't want to have a kid in the way, so they would do this. Like, one, a lot of that is fiction. It's propaganda against women. And two, last time I checked, we're not in the Victorian era. Times have changed. Rules for women have changed. Everything in society has changed since then. You can't apply a Victorian era rule to now. It just won't stand up. So basically, women who are pregnant have to have the baby now, according to this. According to what we can find of this rule anyway, that's actually publicly available right now. Already this has caused some catastrophe. An 11-year-old who was pregnant with an incestual R-word baby has died, because an 11-year-old's body is not meant to go through that kind of stress yet. Yes, she may have had her first period already by then, but her body is not ready to be forming little humans when she's only 11 years old. The physical strain that must have put on her, coupled with the emotional stress of how that baby came to be, combined, killed this young girl. And she's not going to be the only one who dies this way, unfortunately. This law doomed girls in that situation. She could have been saved. They could have said, oh, this looks like it's not going very well. We should probably terminate the pregnancy, or we should probably, do something to help her. But it can't happen now. It can't happen now there. And on top of this, there is a myriad of reasons why women get abortions. Here's something else I need you to understand. Don't assume you know what an abortion's like, in terms of how violent you think it is, and don't assume you know why women are getting them until you've actually spoken to women who have been through them, because I've been pro-choice for my own reasons for a long time now in my adult life, and I finally heard the start to finish story of what happens when you get an abortion from someone last year. And it's horrifying. She said that if it wasn't her only option in that situation, she wouldn't have done it, because it's extremely painful, it's extremely invasive, it puts a lot of mental stress on the person who's getting it. There's nothing glamorous and fun about it. No one's just going in there being like, whoops, yay, no more pregnancy. It's an awful process that you have to go through. It's generally a last resort. You have to go through counseling when you get to the clinic to ensure that you are 100% positive this is what you want, because there is no way to back out of it once it's done, and they know it's going to be difficult on the person after they get it. There's a process to all this that a lot of people don't seem to understand, because they're listening to this weird propaganda that's trying to scare them off of it and control them. And that's what happens with a lot of stuff in this country. We're basically an entire country of misinformation now. No one wants to actually listen to anyone who's been through something. Everyone just wants to listen to what someone who has no idea what they're talking about is saying, or whoever is going to be on their side. So maybe they'll listen to someone who got an abortion, but only the people who regretted it afterward, instead of both sides of the aisle. You'll never get anywhere. This country's never going to get anywhere if we don't listen to everybody already. Stop only listening to your side. Now, the reason I'm personally having a hard time with this is because myself and someone I'm very close to, if we had been in a position that the people in Texas are right now, we'd be dead right now, potentially. Very strong potential for me, because I had a lot of grapefruit-sized tumors in my uterus for 15 years. No one could figure out what was wrong with me, because they hadn't bothered doing exploratory surgery until it became an emergency situation where if they didn't do surgery, I wasn't going to get out of this. And if something had happened, I got assaulted in the club once. I got assaulted in the club by a man. If he had impregnated me, I would have died, and guess what? The baby would have gone down with the ship if I hadn't gotten an abortion to at least save my life. There's nothing that could have been done for the baby, but it would have at least given me some chance if I'd gotten one, if that had happened. And I am not an isolated case. There's a lot of people who are in that position where their bodies will kill them and the baby. I have had cousins who had miscarriages, and these people are going to have to carry that dead baby to term now, because guess what? It's considered an abortion to get the deceased fetus out of you after a miscarriage. Can't do that anymore. You're going to have to carry it for months knowing you're giving birth to a dead baby and possibly going into sepsis and dying yourself, because the dead baby being carried to term matters more than your life. I knew someone who was a victim of assault that this guy would repeatedly rape her to keep her around, and she did get an abortion as a result because she was terrified that if he knew, he would kill the baby, because he had basically told her that would happen before. These girls are gonna continue to be attacked by these men in their lives over and over again, getting them pregnant as often as they can to force them to stay in this situation. And this isn't gonna stay in Texas. You can say, oh, it's just big, stupid Texas, all you want. It's not gonna stay there. Stuff like this always spreads. I can guarantee you the second this news hit, a bunch of other states probably started thinking of how to follow suit, and I'm terrified mine's gonna be one of them. So I'm not doing great right now. And I don't know, take care of yourselves, I guess. Yes.